Hello, class. Chris Holmes here. I'm so excited to get to share with you today uh, a story about my life. I think we've all been in a situation to where we're kind of questioning where are we at in life? Where are we at in God's call? What are we called to do? I think for some of us it can be somewhat confusing, and I hope that this story helps to illustrate to you what God's done in my life. And hopefully there's a takeaway for you that we can all come away with. About 9 years ago, I went on a mission trip, a short-term mission trip to the Yucatan of Mexico, and it was one of the greatest things in my life to be able to fully preach the gospel and to build a church with my bare hands and to be able to love people and to give to people and see so many lives transformed and salvations taking place, healings taking place. And for me, it was just a changing point in my life. I remember coming home from that trip after being just on this mountaintop high experience and thinking, God, what do you have for me now? Going back to work doesn't seem that fun anymore. And quite frankly, being very frustrated and finding myself frustrated with God, if you will, as bad as that sounds, but wanting to know from God, what is the call you have on my life? What are you going to do? Where will I go? How do I do this? What do I do for you? And searching and searching and searching to a point of almost being miserable, not knowing exactly what the end result call would look like. Part of that call, quite frankly, led me to the King's University about 4.5 years ago. Thought that, God, I'll go back to school. I'll get an education. While I'm going, reveal to me the call that you have in my life. God, I need to know. I'm desperate to know what you have for me. I'll do it. If you just make a means and you go do it. While I've been at the Kings, 3 years ago, I started a very small nonprofit. The name is Kingdom Connectors. Went through all the processes of incorporating 501c3 status, everything, if you will, to start that nonprofit the right way. And the reason I started that was to hopefully help connect people from here to my friends in the Yucatan. Every year we've went on this trip, and it's such a fun time. Every year. We've started leading our own groups down. And while I was there 9 years ago, I met a gentleman named Tomas Nieto, and he was just a dynamic teacher and lover of Christ. Just spent 5 nights a week traveling around the Yucatan because the people couldn't afford to come to a seminary. He took the seminary to them. He travels an hour and a half, 2 hours one direction. He spends 5 hours a night teaching, 5 nights a week. This is a program that lasts for 5 years. And then he graduates. Hundreds of students have graduated from this program. And when I saw this, I started thinking, what are we doing with these people? What do they do when they graduate? Do they just go back into the workforce? Are they called to something we can help them with? And so I started the nonprofit just to help people in their calling. And honestly, I felt like I wasn't getting to do what I wanted to do, what I was called to do. And so I wanted to help people in their call. I was very frustrated because I wanted to do that. I wanted to be the person in the village, going out every night and just preaching and sharing the gospel and laying hands on people and doing all these things. And until I could get to that point, I wanted to help others to do what God's called me to do. And we've done that. It was amazing that we started a few years ago. We had 2 people that we started with, and Tomas sent me the best of his 2, and then Tomas would find another student who was gifted and had a direct call from God, and we would partner with them and go to 3 to 6 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 12 people. It would take the shape eventually of being 16 villages within a few short years. It would take the shape of us being incorporated in Mexico as Kingdom Connectors as a non-profit equivalent to a 501c3 status here. And it would also take the shape of a missions director over the missions efforts that we're doing. It would take a seminary director with Tomas. It would take a group director, because what better way to introduce people just like me than to really lead short-term mission groups and get this out to the people? I thought for so long it was supposed to be me. And quite frankly, one day I was very convicted when I looked around at what all God was doing through the ministry. He led a donor to us to help support these pastors. He allowed me to be so blessed to be in a job that I can donate 20 to 30% of my income to help support these pastors. And I started feeling guilt and a sense of pride that I was angry at God because He didn't have me in my call. But all along, I was in the middle of my call. It was very sobering to look around and see what all God had done through me. I wasn't smart enough to recognize I was directly in the middle of my call, but God was using me the whole time. The numbers are staggering. What we have now, we started very small, very humble, and God, today, every month, I get monthly reports from the missions pastor down there that while I'm at my desk in my call, God gifted me to be able to make money and to run a wonderful business that's been financially very good to me. And I want to use all those resources for Him. But while I'm at that desk on a monthly basis, Brother Danny sends me a report with 340 weekly attendance in these various villages. Villages that, quite frankly, no one would plant a church in. They're too small. But we're going out and we're reaching these villages. Also, we're having 70 or so people being discipled on a monthly basis, which is incredible. And we're having 20 to 23 salvations per month is what we've kind of averaged the first quarter of this year. What excites me most, what I didn't know, is we're making disciples. We're not just sending short-term missionary groups down, and then we get on a plane and we feel good and we leave. We're leaving them with a pastor that's called to that. We're just going to support them in a call that's already there. And what we're doing is partnering with them in that. And then they're sticking. We're not just losing those people. Where every year you go back and the same people raise their hand and get saved 3 times. We're leaving them with a tangible resource with a pastor that can help them grow and develop. And not only do they want to be saved, but they want to be discipled so now they can replicate and multiply this message out. I share all this to tell you, you may be in your call right now and you don't know it, just like I didn't. You may be a gifted nurse and your job is to go and be called to be a gifted nurse. Your job may be to be a gifted speaker and to go out and be a gifted speaker and go be. He may have gifted you with different tongues and different languages to where you are supposed to go and do those things. For me, I realize that God blessed me to have a job of 15 years, and I've been very blessed, and He blessed me to be good at it. Now, every day I go to work, instead of being miserable that I'm not in my call, I go to work excited about my call, and how do I make more money? What do I do to increase the kingdom of God and the gifting that He's called me to be in? And that's a very wonderful place to be in, is when you recognize the call, and then you just pursue your giftings to answer that call. I would encourage anyone that would hear this message to please evaluate your life. Please take a step back and look. Number one, do you even have the burden of the call? Because we're all called, whether it be to go, to give, or to pray, or to do all 3. We're all called. Then I would ask you, what is your gifting? Are you using the gifts that God gave you and the talents that He gave you for His kingdom purpose? Doesn't always mean to go, but it means to give. Doesn't always mean to maybe give if you don't have it, but you certainly can pray. Thank you so much for listening to me, and let me share my heart with you. God bless.